What's going on, everybody?
Good morning.
Welcome back to the Juice, man.
Have we ever recorded in the morning? Although it's almost lunch. You never do it in the morning.
No, I don't think so. Mainly because I can't get here on time.
No, it's 11:15.
See, Shane's gonna learn that whenever he, like if our guest's supposed to come on at 12, he's gonna tell me to get here at 11.
Yeah. I do that, and you still show up late.
No, he's never done it.
Yes, I do. I tell you half hour early.
He's never done it.
Yeah, it's just Wyatt's on Wyatt's time, man.
Man, I'll be honest. Today was not good on my end.
What happened?
So I woke up. It's my girlfriend's birthday.
Happy birthday, Lauren.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We got to give her a shout out today.
Are you gonna sing?
No.
Do you want to take a minute to sing?
No. Lauren is.
I think the viewers want to listen to you sing.
No,
Do you have a good singing voice?
She is. Yeah. I mean, it's all right.
Like Jesus and Fergie.
Yeah. I've been called the songbird of my generation. She is 25 today, so happy birthday.
Dude, the camera looks super laggy.
It'll be all right.
I don't know what the deal is.
Anyways, I woke up and my fuel light was on.
No fuel.
Yeah, no fuel, and I didn't know if I had enough fuel to go to a gas station on the way, so I had to go out of the way to go to a gas station to make sure. So that was the biggest reason I was late. Probably should have accounted for that, but I didn't. But anyways, man. So we had our previous episode was.
We're doing good, man. We're on a roll right now.
Yeah, we're on a roll.
Yeah. Somebody said that in the comments.
Yeah, good deal. So our previous episode was with Cody Cannon from Whiskey Myers, and man, it's not doing as good as we wanted to on YouTube. I think it's partially our fault. We had to. It wasn't up very long. When we originally posted, we had to take it down to fix a few things, and then when we put it back up, it didn't post it as a new video, and it said it was posted, 2 days ago, but really it had only been up for a couple of hours, and I don't know, we might have messed something up with the algorithm, or we don't even know.
Something happened, but it's not gaining a lot of traction. For
No,
sure.
not as much as it should. The people that have listened to it love the episode. I mean, it's a great episode. Obviously a pretty popular figure. Just in general, but also really cool insight, man. If you haven't listened to that episode, you need to listen to it.
Yeah, it's definitely not on the guest, clearly. It's on us, man. It's on me, really. The internet was super slow uploading. It's had some issues, whatever. But
yeah, it uploaded at
timing.
It uploaded at a weird time, like 2 or 3 in the morning or something. And then I don't know. I think we messed up by taking it down, but it is what it is. Hopefully it'll start gaining some traction because it's a really good episode.
It is. Go give it a listen. We appreciate him coming on. That was super cool.
Yeah. Also, the BFL, we kind of spoke on that at the beginning of the previous episode. We were a little bit, I don't want to say we were wrong about the winning weight.
No, we said if somebody is, I'm going to say it again, and people might not like this, but if somebody's dumb enough to go catch that caliber fish in a BFL, they can have it back.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
And he's the guy to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if.
I don't mean as in he's dumb. I mean, he's the guy that can catch that kind of weight.
Yeah, I don't know if Hayden Heck won the event. I don't know if he, I don't know how it went. I literally don't know how he caught him, but he had 29 and some change to win. And we also said in the previous episode, if somebody catches that high 20s, low 30s, they're going to walk away with it. And he did. He won the event by about 4 pounds. Shane guessed 3 bags over 20. There was 4, so pretty spot on there. And
there was actually 5, but I think one guy was 2 minutes late. I think that Harris dude would weighed like 21.5.
Oh, okay.
And then I saw he dropped down to 19.5. So I'm guessing he might have been 2 minutes late to check in.
Gotcha. Well, the weights down the board were about what we expected. Took about 16 to top 10 the event, and then cut a check was around that 12-pound mark. So we were pretty spot on there. And they didn't get a great draw like normally. That first event is about pretty much a full field with like 230 boats, or at least 200. This one got 165, so they didn't pay down as far as they normally do. I think they only paid 35 or so places, maybe more. So if they'd have paid further down, the weights would have been even lower.
You think that's kind of a foreshadowing of what's to come this year?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Low numbers again.
If you see the first BFL of the year, especially on Sam Rayburn, get 160, you can pretty much go ahead and get ready. It's going to be a low, which we started to see that trend last year. It's not a surprise. I think
it's just going down.
Yeah, you could go on and on about why that is, but the reality is just things have gotten really expensive, and the economy's probably still not in the best spot. And all kinds of factors go in that, but I'm sure that is probably the majority.
Life's Coke, man, ruined it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Forever.
Well, I mean, yeah, who knows? I don't know.
No.
But yeah, man, that was just to talk about that real quick. Pretty much about what we expected for that. So yeah, but today we've got a really cool guest on. We're gonna have Matt Pangrach on from the host of BTL, Bassmaster Opens EQ angler, and been around the sport a long time.
Yeah.
You know? So
No, I think it'd be a really cool guest. I mean, we've been talking to him since before. I think we started talking to him last month about coming on and coming on after the holidays, and he's done the podcast thing. I mean, is BTL probably like one of the OG bass fishing podcasts?
Yeah, it is.
And Mark Jeffries. Jeffries probably started it. We'll get him to tell the story.
I think it's like 14 or 15 seasons. It's crazy how long it's been.
He'll tell us, but man, it's cool to get a guy like that who's been in the industry a long time. He tournament fishes. He's host. He's kind of got his hands in a bunch of different things and knows a lot of people's had a lot of cool guests, and it's kind of cool to put him on the other side of the table and let him tell his story a little bit. So I say we get him on.
Get him on.
Get him on.
See what he's got to say.
It's cold in here today.
Dude, I forgot to tell y'all, it is blowing hard. Like Rayburn is rolling. Whenever the dam earlier, it is rolling out there.
It's rough. It's rough and windy.
Hello?
Hey, man, what's going on?
Oh, not much. How are you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. What's the wind blowing up there? I know you're in Oklahoma, right? You're home?
Yeah, no, it's like 35. I just texted one of my buddies. I was like, hey, I'm at the ramp. You going to meet me here? Let's go do some crappie fishing. He's like, you got to be insane. He's like, I'm not going outside the house. Yeah, it's like 30 with like probably a 5-degree wind chill.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. On the drive here, my truck was getting blown around all over the road, and then I go over to the dam here at Rayburn, and it is freaking rolling on the big pond. So yeah, and when you don't see a single boat at the ramp on Rayburn, yeah, it's pretty bad.
How big does that get down there by the dam?
Oh, that's as big as it gets normally. Like that's the biggest part of the lake.
It's got a lot of west in it today. If it had more north in it, it'd be really, really gnarly. But it's more than you want. Oh yeah, sure. It's probably solid 4-footers, like good ones.
Yeah, they're big.
Yeah, I didn't realize how rough that got, and I fished a Toyota down there in 19 or something. And the second day, I think I speared 3 just getting up to the bridge, and I was like, I am just a really bad boat driver. And then I saw Kevin Ledoux, my buddy, was up there, and he goes, how many did you spear? I said 3. He goes, well, I got 4, so I didn't feel so bad then.
That's funny, man. I tell you, I fished an invitational on Lake Eufaula in Oklahoma, which would you consider that your home lake?
I really don't have a home lake.
Okay.
I would say like probably Grand and Eufaula are probably the 2. Yeah.
Okay. Well, dude, let me tell you something. That lake gets
big.
It
can get a little rough. It can get a little bumpy.
That lake gets big. That's a
big lake.
I've ran some big waves on Rayburn and Toledo, but dang, that place got really big, man.
You can get stuck on Eufaula where you basically can't get back if you get out there. You go through the chute and are fishing that way. It can get pretty gnarly.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, tell us a little fishing story, man. How'd you get into bass fishing? How long you been doing it? You grew up bass fishing?
I grew up fishing. So my parents, my dad and mom fish, but it's like, so my dad's favorite lure, this will put it into perspective. Like his favorite lure is the pre-rigged K&E worm on a weighted bobber.
Okay.
So
hammer.
That's the worm that's like in the package that has like 3 little gold Aberdeen hooks on it.
Yep.
So, and then like the 6-inch leader. So he, I would grow up, he'd just tie that on a weighted bobber. We just cast it out of the pond, and then it like spins as you reel it in. So that's about his extent of bass fishing. And I just like took to it. I'm not exactly sure why. They took me to Canada when I was like 3, and I've been hooked on fishing ever since. Like bass fishing is obviously, what I do at the podcast and fish the opens, but I'm obsessed with just like fishing anything. Like I love anything from, rainbow trout to ocean fish.
There you go. So what about tournaments? Like when did you kind of get into tournaments?
I fished my first tournament when I was 13 in Illinois. I grew up in the middle of Illinois, and they had a youth tournament. It was through Casting Kids. And I got just randomly paired with a dude to fish a youth tournament. And his name, do you guys have Bob Evans restaurants there?
No, not down here.
Okay, so there's a restaurant called Bob Evans, and it's got like a red roof on it, and it's got like yellow lettering. It's like really famous. They're really good breakfast. Anyway, I drew a guy named Bob Evans, who had fished in the All-American a couple years ago, and was sponsored by Bob Evans, the restaurant.
So his name was Bob Evans, and he was sponsored by them?
Yes, but it was completely unrelated. He made the All-American, and then he went to him and was like, "Hey, my name's Bob Evans," and then they sponsored him. This was like back in the 90s.
Sure. Well, they had to.
So I mean, I fished my first tournament on Lake Shelbyville, and we ended up finishing 5th in that event, but I didn't really know a lot about the tournament stuff then, but I ended up winning the National Casting Kids contest that year, like at the Bassmaster Classic and all that. We had to be 16 to join a club, and so I'd qualified through this club called the Assumption Bass Club, which is like just your typical Harry and Charlie, like good dudes, plastic worms, same schedule, bitch at each other all the time at the weigh-ins, but then like have beer afterwards. Anyway, when I won the national championship, they got like $1,000 because I had qualified through their club at like the local level for the casting. It's like the pump, pass, and kick stuff, except just for casting. So you'd flip, pitch, and cast, and then like if you had the highest score, you'd go on to the next level.
Oh, cool.
So when I won that, they got $1,000. So they were like, "Who's this?" They got it, and one of the guys in the club was like, "Hey, do you want to fish with us?" So I was 13, and they let me fish with them an entire year.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that was kind of how I got into the bass tournament fishing, and then just stuck with that all the way up.
Gotcha.
That's awesome.
And then, so I mean, like, how do you end up graduating to the Opens? I mean, did you start fishing BFLs? What was kind of your term
I had
progression?
like kind of a unique progression. So I was like kind of right on the edge of the beginning of the college fishing scene. So I went to University of Oklahoma in 2005.
Okay.
And I'd fished through the club, just the club all the way. I was like 18, 19 then. I ended up playing like junior hockey for a couple years in between like high school and college. So I would just like jump in like random tournaments as a co-angler. But then when I went to University of Oklahoma, that was like right when Facebook started too. So I had listed that I like bass fishing, and that my favorite TV show was the Bassmasters. And this kid named Chip Forche messaged me, and he's like, "Hey, I'm a senior in high school. I'm going to be going to OU next year, and I want to start a fishing team." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm in." So I didn't know anything about that because I was there to play hockey, and I wasn't really sure. I knew I wanted to do something in the industry, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So he kind of came, and then we started the Sooner Bass Anglers, or the collegiate fishing team. And then that's where, we fished all around the country through that. It was back like when it was sponsored by Under Armour and stuff like that. And then Wade Middleton was just having the collegiate bass fishing series that was going. He would run one on like Dardanelle, and then a national championship on Louisville, which was just cruel and unusual torture to put college kids on Louisville in the summer. But then, long story short, I was a communications major, and Mark Jeffries ran the Bass Zone. Had just retired from UPS and was looking to hire someone. So he reached out to the Bass Club. I was like, "Yeah, heck yeah, I'll intern." And then I interned for like 2 years with him, and then went full-time writing and covering tournaments out of college. And then I started fishing the Bass Nation too during that time. So then I fished the Bass Nation until 2015. And I was like, man, I want to see what I had, like a little ZX 190. And then I upgraded, and I was like, I want to try the Opens and kind of just have a different perspective, because I've been covering, shooting photos, video work, a lot of like kind of behind the scenes stuff for different companies and anglers at the time, because social media was starting to get big then. So I was like, I want to see what it's like on the other side. So I fished the Opens in 15, got my ass absolutely handed to me. Went back, regrouped for a couple years, and then AFCO had made a big push into the freshwater in 18.
Yeah.
And they did a thing called the AFCO Bass Boot Camp where they took a angler that was wanting to try to make a go at it, and they paid their entry fees to the division of their choice. So then I got that. So then I recorded that whole year and fished 2 divisions of the Toyota Series. And then the end of that, I top 10'd on Rayburn, and then I finished 3rd in the Toyota Series Championship.
Oh, nice.
And so I would have made the Forest Wood Cup and the FLW Tour. And then literally the day after the championship is when MLF bought FLW.
Oh.
And that's a whole nother story. So long story short, I didn't fish that, and there was no FLW Cup that year. So I was all in on the Opens, and here we are 4 years later, and I've fished every Open since then.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that when you did the AFCO bass, the boot camp deal. I remember watching those videos, and that was really cool, man. They're bringing that back. They're bringing that back now, and that's really cool.
They brought that back for this year. They did John Ziola the first year. I think he's out of California, and he now does a lot of stuff in the industry, shoots for Zaldane quite a bit. And then me in 19, and then it was cool to see them bring that back to the Opens.
Yeah, they're doing it. They're doing it. Did they? You said that guy you mentioned, is that who they're doing now, or who's the?
No, I don't think they've announced who the winner is now. That it has to be someone who's fishing all 9 of the Opens.
Right.
Wait, how do you get signed up for this? I didn't know about this.
Well, man, they posted it.
Man,
yeah.
I should know these things.
I think it ended on December 31st.
I mean, you gotta pay attention, man.
And I guess clearly.
Well, I mean,
AFCO was handing out a free ride to the Open. Sign me up. Hello.
Yeah. Well, you gotta, like Matt did it. It's not just like, hey, we're paying your entries, go fish. Like, it's a work.
You gotta like earn the spot.
No, you gotta film yourself like thoroughly.
Yeah, do a videos like kind of documenting the entire thing. But I think they, I don't know if they wrapped the boat or not, but definitely entry fees, which with them going up, I think it's 18,000 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, they jumped it up. I doubt they want a 37-year-old anyway.
Oh, they might.
No,
you'll never know.
It's all trending young. I'm going next year. I'm gonna apply next year.
Yeah, well, you'll never know, man.
Yeah.
Man, AFCO's a really great company. I know Matt has been working with them. I've been working with them a few years, and they do really big stuff in the industry, and that's just another cool thing they do,
So I do want to circle you back, though, because I know you were kind of like, long story short there, on the not fishing the FLW Tour. Just kind of, was it like a bitterness thing? Like, man, this is,
no, it wasn't a bitterness deal. It was more so like, obviously the more you are in this industry, you understand like business is business. You see that every day, and like there's usually a reason behind things that don't make sense.
Sure.
But that was just a deal where it was just like there were going to be a section of anglers that kind of got caught up in the wash, so to speak. So you're going to have the Toyota Series anglers, and then kind of what it turned out to be was like if MLF had honored those Toyota Series spots to go into the Cup or whatever they called it that next year, the MLF Championship, that opened them up to have to pay like guys who had won $1 million in fantasy fishing and honor all the guys who had like tournament entry fees that they'd like accrued over the year. Like it would open them up to have to pay a lot of money to a lot of other people. So they just kind of cut it off. Like I wasn't thrilled with the way it went down, so which is why I haven't fished any of the MLF stuff. But I don't hold it against them. I don't hold it against anybody there. Like I understand like why it went down. It just kind of sucked that it was that year.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
No, for sure. I mean, a line was kind of drawn in the sand, if you want to say it that way. But so you chose the bass route at that point. You're like, I'm
yeah, and I mean, in all honesty, like I think MLF is doing a lot of great stuff, and the Toyota Series is like I would consider a flagship. It's incredibly talented anglers, and you look at the payouts and the contingencies that are with it. There's nothing that even touches it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as how good it is for anglers from the best in the world fish that to all the good regional guys too. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any hard feelings towards MLF or FLW. It's just kind of an unfortunate deal, but that's kind of what led me over to the Opens. And if I'm being honest, I grew up wanting to fish in the Bassmaster Classic. So if I'm gonna lose all my money and be negative every single year when it comes to finances, I'd rather do it with a chance to make the Classic.
Yeah, right. No doubt. I mean, that's why I fish the Opens. It's like the biggest carrot to me is how that's a dream come true for, like you said, is growing up as a kid watching Bassmaster on TV. You know, like I'd love to cross the Classic stage with fish.
And it's crazy that, I mean, depending on, you know, what you're fishing, if you're fishing one division or all of them, you're legitimately like 3 days away from it.
3 good days of fishing and you go to the Classic.
And it's weird. So I've been in the position, I've been like 1 or 2 bites away 3 times now. And each time you're just like, oh, like I sometimes wonder like if that affects you on the water. If, you know, growing up wanting to do it and stuff, you're like, holy cow, like if I catch a 5-pounder, I'm in the freaking Bassmaster Classic. That has to mess with your mental game on the water somehow. But I like the winning you're in that Bassmasters. You know, there's been a bunch of discussion about whether that's, you know, they used to do the top 2 or 3 anglers in each division of the Opens go to the Classic, which is definitely deserving. But I kind of like that. You get on the right fish and you catch them and you're in.
It just puts that much more weight on the win. You know, it's makes it that much more. I mean, the money's great, the notoriety's great. Don't get me wrong, but like
the Classic,
you're going to the Bassmaster Classic. The first series, the first tournament last year on Eufaula, I know I've talked about a bunch on these episodes, but when I had my bag and I knew I was close, my Coanglers was like, dude, I think you won. I think you just won. I was like, hold on a minute, man. Like, guys are catching them today. I was like, we're having a good day. I think we're going to be close. And then sitting there and first until, was it Justin? What was his last name?
I don't know. He was a local. That's all I remember.
He was the last one. Obviously, he was a late flight, but he's also the last one to weigh in. And, man, that was still a hard pill to swallow. Yeah. You know, going from.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked back at, you know, at Hartwell. It's happened twice on Hartwell, actually. And it's like, you know, what if I had changed that? Or should I have changed that treble hook? Or did I set the hook too soon? Or did I try to get that one, you know, to the boat faster than I should have? But I mean, the way you look at it, I mean, every single person goes through that, and I think you just like learn from each one of those, and I think you handle it better each time you get in that position.
Yeah, no, I agree for sure, but
I agree.
So you're fishing the Opens again next year, right?
Yeah, jumping in all night again. I'm kind of like I'm a poker player. I'm kind of pot committed at this point.
Like I get it.
Like I'm kind of playing this hand out and seeing what happens.
Yeah. Nah, man. I mean, it's good though. The Opens are so fun. It was a good atmosphere. I enjoyed meeting a lot of guys out there, and I truly believe, and you might disagree, but I think when you're out in the Opens field, I think you're in the hardest tournament out there. I mean, you're fishing against the best of the best. I mean, you got elite guys, you got local hammers, and you got Opens guys like yourself that are a threat anywhere. So,
yeah, I mean, it's definitely. So I would like to. I've always said what I would like to do is like take a year off and then fish a bunch of like local and regional stuff, like, and just to see, because I feel like I've grown so much as an angler over the past 5 or 6 years, and I tournament fished before, but it'd be interesting to go back and then like really put your time in on like a 2 or 3 divisions of the BFLs. Or, you know, Bass Nation or, you know, the local team stuff. I know you guys have a massive amount of just super good anglers that fish all that stuff, but in your neck of the woods, and we do the exact same thing here in Oklahoma. So, I mean, it went from like, it's really hard to compete against those regional guys. I'd be interested to see like just with the experience of traveling around and fishing 40, 45, you know, Opens and Toyota series, how that would translate coming back to Oklahoma and then fishing locally for a year.
Yeah, no, it definitely can't hurt for sure, but
no, it doesn't.
No. Well, what tournament are you looking forward to the most in the Open schedule?
Definitely Hartwell. Hartwell for some reason is I love the way that lake sets up. It reminds me a lot of Oklahoma. I'm a big spotted bass guy. I don't know why. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
But I love spotted bass fishing. I love chasing the pelagic fish, those fish that set up on the cane, 100 stops a day, run and gun. Like, that's what I really like to do. And then you can throw a little bit of power, but primarily finesse stuff.
Yeah. Spots.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I was looking forward to Hartwell big time.
Yeah. Y'all are,
that's in October.
Y'all are kicking off the year at Okeechobee, man. That's going to be interesting for y'all.
Yeah, it's absolute. That place is going through a weird. There's not many places to fish on Okeechobee right now.
No, that's we opened the year up for the invitationals at Okeechobee, and you learn really fast. That's a humongous pond, but it fishes very small. And we had 150. Y'all are gonna have, I'm assuming, 230 or whatever it's gonna be, probably full field in the open there.
Yeah, and we're the week after the Toyota Series.
Oh yeah, man, it's gonna be fun.
So it's 16 straight days. So Toyota Series, no off limits for practice on that, correct?
Yeah, no off limits.
So let's just say 4 to 5. It's beginning of the year. Everyone's all gung-ho. This is the year everyone's going to catch them. They're going to put in the extra practice days off the hopper. So 5 days for everyone. So, 200 boats for 5 days and then 3 tournament days. And then their last tournament day is our first practice day. So, everyone's going to be out there. So it's like 14 straight days of over 200 boats of Toyotas or open guys on Okeechobee.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like Rayburn. No, that's, I will say that what I saw there about Okeechobee is how, I don't want to say how well, but how surprising those fish handle that pressure. I mean, those fish get pressured on that lake so much. I mean, I know tournament pressure is different, but the elites were there right after we left at the Invitational, and they smashed them just as well. And I think the biggest reason for that is that time of the year, the amount of fish that pull up in waves by the day, and I'm not exaggerating, it was amazing to see how many fish pull into those areas, even after it's been obliterated. It's just like, it's insane because you're not in deep water at all. And those fish can feel all those boats. But, man, the weights just continued to get stouter and stouter. It's so amazing. Okeechobee to me was the most amazing place because it was like everybody from the Invitational after 3 days of practice, like, this place sucks. And, man, this is going to be terrible. If you catch 10 a day, 11 a day, you might cut a check. All of a sudden, man, all those areas you were catching all them buck bass, you roll in there the first day of the tournament, and there's big females everywhere. And the next day, same thing. It's crazy how you can go from nothing to a hero on that place. Like, it's pretty cool, man.
That's a little weather dependent too, isn't it?
It was. We had the perfect storm, but the elites did the same thing after we left. They did the same. There was waves of fish moving up. There's just so many on that place. It's really impressive. Okeechobee's a really impressive place.
I mean, you're right. The Toyota Series they're going to catch them, and the Opens guys are going to catch them.
Oh, they're going to catch them.
So
yeah. So
how do you feel about is it safe to say that might be your least favorite one on the schedule or no?
So after fishing, I've looked back over the last 2 years, and there's always been one. Like this past year was Toledo Bend. I finished 140th at Toledo Bend. Love Rayburn, hate Toledo Bend. And that, for lack of a better term, screwed me before the year basically even started. Cause I had a good event in Alabama on Eufaula.
Yeah.
Got out of there at the top 50. And then the next tournament was on Bugs Island and I top 30 that one. But that 140th, especially with what those guys in the top 9 did this year, I was pretty much, my goose was cooked before, before it even started. So you can't have least favorite or favorite. You have to go, what I'm starting to learn is, you're going to have to fly by the seat of your pants, a lot of stuff. And there might be some stuff that really suits you.
Sure.
But you have to be able to figure out how to catch them on the ones you don't like and catch them on the ones that you do like.
Yeah.
So I
for
spent
sure.
a lot of time this off season to look at that schedule and say, like no BS, like what intimidates me on this schedule? What is something that I look at and I'm like, ooh, I can't visualize myself catching them on that fishery. Like I'm going to go in there trying to survive. And then I focused on those fisheries over the last month and tried to turn them into my strengths to where I can't wait to get back to those fisheries for when the tournament actually starts. So that's kind of what I've done with 2 or 3 of those on the schedule.
Right. No, I like that approach, visualization. I get that too, because I almost try to trick myself, psych myself out. Like when we're going to a place, like I have no idea. This is probably not going to suit me well. I'm like, you know what? You kind of just hype yourself up. Like I'm a hammer. I'm going to catch him. I'm going to figure them out. Kind of put that energy out in the universe. If you
got to
will.
be positive minded.
Kind of like you said, try to visualize it a little better than versus saying, oh, this is going to suck.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Then it will suck.
Yep. It's all about your attitude, man.
I went into Fall, Alabama last year, like not knowing anything. It was stressful. I did not enjoy it. I found one shell bed the size of a truck and caught 30-something pounds off of it over 2 days. Without that, I caught like 2 fish in like 6 days. So, yeah, and I mean, even if it's just like, you know, getting your stuff ready early, taking a pre-practice trip down so you know the lay of the land, how to get around the fishery, that can save you a day or two of just figuring out where you can run or where you can't run, trying to make sure that you understand that fishery. So if there is an east wind, a north wind, a south wind, or a west wind, you can't say, well, I didn't catch them because, you know, the winds screwed my spot. Like you cannot have an excuse when you're trying to qualify.
Yeah.
Because you just can't make it up.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
So you have to try to have all your bases covered.
Yeah, no, that all makes a lot of sense. Matt, do you think that, because I know maybe Shane mentioned this, maybe it was a survey they sent out, maybe this was or wasn't in the survey about the Opens that sent out to you guys after the year was over, but whether it was in the survey or not is a good question. Do you think that, you know, you're fishing 9 events, and I know the elites, I know they don't do this, but would it be, what do you think about the idea of excluding your worst finish? Like, if you're fishing on 9 and you exclude your worst finish, not necessarily because you had a bad event, but maybe there was boat problems. You know, these guys are putting so much into this. They're traveling for not very good money around the country. You know, it's a lot. It's a lot. You're taking a lot of time away from family, probably. Some of these guys, some not. But you know what I mean. It's a big sacrifice. Yeah. And to have a motor issue or something go wrong and, you know, one bad tournament and you're out. I mean, that's kind of, I mean, what do you think about that? Like, would you be on board with that or would you be against that?
As long as it's even through the entire playing field and we're all playing under the same set of rules, I'm game for whatever they throw at.
I got you. Okay.
I 100% understand that. Like, part of me is like, well, it's all about like making sure everything's buttoned up. And
right.
Yeah, well, that's just bad luck and it happens. But man, I've had that happen to me before. And, you know, you do everything right. And to sink $35,000 into it because of something that you had no control over, I would not be at all opposed to dropping your worst finish. I also can see it where you got a guy who never finishes below 60 the entire year, and some dude who doesn't do his homework, goes out, doesn't understand a fishery, and bombs 180th, just gets to act like it doesn't exist. Well, I want to be rewarded because I did my homework on all 9 of them, not just 8 of the 9. So if you take the average, you smoke that guy by 100 points. But if he drops it, he smokes you. That would also be a tough pill to swallow. So I see it both ways.
Yeah, I got you. You know, that's a really good point. It was just a question I thought it'd be cool to bring up just to get it from your perspective.
Either way, the average would go up. Everybody's average, in theory, would go up.
Well, now JT Tompkins, I don't think he had one below like 20.
That's what I mean. So, like, what's he going to drop?
Yeah, no, for the most of us, I mean, it would be interesting, especially as you get later in the year. It would be interesting to see, you know, like Milliken started out with like a first or a fifth that you follow, and then he won at Toledo Bend and stuff. But then I think he finished like 90 something at the St. Lawrence River. But I mean, that dude was in like 100 and something after the first day. If he'd been able to drop that I mean, you talk about what kind of anglers, he comes in with like 19 on the second day and finishes 100, but that was a massively important day for him. He had just been able to drop it, but he because he couldn't drop it, he went out even though he was so far down and gained 80 points.
Yeah.
And even though you look at that and go, man, that was a bad derby. That was a freaking awesome derby because he just gained 80 points in one day, and that was the difference between him finishing 15th and 7th.
Yeah. No, that's another good point.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a couple days like that. I mean, Wheeler day one, I didn't have the day I wanted and came back and caught like 16 and a half, and that jumped me up, like you said, probably 100 places really.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like
better
that
than
view.
that drive home. Well, there is something better, like winning, but
Yeah.
like if you're gonna finish somewhere, like let's say you're gonna finish 60th in one, there's nothing better than being like 150th the first day,
Yeah.
figuring something out the second day, and even though you didn't cash a check, you feel like you accomplished something driving home, knowing that you put 80 points on the board.
Yeah.
Valuable angler of the year.
And those are probably
Bassmaster likes to point out.
Yeah, those are probably the most valuable learning days on the water. Those days when you got to kind of punt. Like you said, if you could drop it and you had a bad day one, you might be like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to sleep in. I'm going to drop this tournament.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, that's a very good way to look at it. Yeah, they don't
and
do
how
it.
many of those good anglers, do you see go out and have a 10 or 12 pound day and then come in with like 25, 26 the next? To me, that's freaking massively impressive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
No, that's what they do. I mean, that's what separates, good from great, really.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
But I did put on that survey that I think they should get rid of co-anglers and up the entry fee. I don't know if co-anglers
up the entry fee. See, I don't mind the co-anglers. I kind of like the co-anglers a little bit.
I got you.
I think it adds a level of, I don't know. I like it that there's some eyes watching what's going on out there too.
Yeah, sure.
And then I think it's also a really good learning ground, especially the co-anglers that are in it for the right reason.
Yeah.
And I've only had like one or two co-anglers that were in it to, hey, I'm here to make money and that's it, and I don't care about you. But like, man, I've probably got like 6 or 7 buddies that I talk to on a weekly basis, or a couple of them on a daily basis, and the only reason I know them is either A, they reached out to me and said, hey, are you practicing with anybody for this event? I'm fishing as a co-angler. And they didn't look like psychopaths on social media, so I was like, yeah, jump in.
Yeah.
Or B, I drew them for a day and we had like something crazy happen that day, and they just stayed in touch afterwards. And I mean, those are contacts across the country and friends and stories that you wouldn't have if you were out there by yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
No, that's 100% true. I don't have a bad word to say about any of the co-anglers I had this year. They were great guys, and like you said, you met some cool people. And I just think that competing at that level and trying to qualify for the elites and the elite platform
definitely affects it. Definitely impacts it in some way.
Well, St. Lawrence, I had 25 to 26 pounds of smallmouth in my boat every day. Unfortunately, they weren't all on my side.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have that story from, St. Lawrence.
But another cool takeaway from that day 2 guy, he caught his PB smallmouth in my boat. That dude was like, I thought he was going to kiss me on the mouth. And I was like, back up for a second. Like, he was jacked, and it was cool to see that.
Okay, so here's St. Lawrence. So 4 years ago, the first time the Opens went there, I had 20 something on day one, and I drew a gynecologist from Queens who had never smallmouth fished before. Just a funny story. He caught 2 and was elated. But the next day I drew a guy whose grandpa had a place out there, and he fished it 2 weeks out of the year. He would drive up and fish with his grandpa. They didn't have a trolling motor on their boat. They just drift. Well, I was dragging. I was with the current.
Yeah.
And I go to my spot, and I'm like, I had 3 20-pound limits there the day before, like coal fest. And something's different. And I mean, I kind of know how to fish a smallmouth, but I wasn't like real dialed in on them yet.
Yeah.
And before I know it, he's got 3 for 16 and a half behind me.
Oh, Lord.
And we fish for, it was a run. We fished for like probably 3 or 4 hours, and I've got less than an hour left. And I I look at him and I said, "You catch that first one on a jig?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "You caught the second one on a jig, right?" He said, "Yeah." And I said, "And that last 5.5 you just caught, that was on a Ned, right?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You're dragging the bottom." He said, "Yeah." I said, "All right." I said, "I think I just screwed up." Well, I would never have learned this without a co-angler.
Yeah.
Some days they want the drop shot. Some days they want something on the bottom.
Mm.
So I ended up putting a jig on, and I caught a 6.6 on my last drift.
Oh, wow.
That kind of saved the day. But this last year, when I went back, I had that in my arsenal. I ended up practicing with him for another day because we had such a great day. Like, we were high-fiving and hugging and stuff because he had 16 pounds and I had the biggest smallmouth I'd ever seen in my life on the last drift. So we practiced for a day, had a great day, and then I had a really good finish. Caught every single one of my fish dragging the bottom. I would never have done that if I had not had that co-angler in the boat 3 years prior.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm learning becoming a better angler from these guys too.
So that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, that's true.
That is.
It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. No, it's
now,
just,
I mean, the guy who rainbows over your shoulder while you're culling the buck, knowing that there's a female next to the cypress tree.
Yeah.
You know, that one didn't go so well.
Yeah. No, I've had that. Yeah, that one. Yeah, I've had that exact same experience on Texoma. It cost me Angler of the Year in the Toyotas. What that one did. Yes, sir. It's the only fish he caught that day.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, AOI.
Yeah.
AOI. So, yeah, that's those stories are not cool.
No, I would agree, though, most
of the time, yes.
Most of the time, it's a good experience, and you meet, like you said, some cool people. And I had some people practice with me a couple days on travel, and they'd call me and say, "Can I come jump the boat?"
Dude, do you know that this is kind of off topic, but it just came to mind. Do you know that Japanese angler? He's a co-angler. He's won
I had
everything.
You drew him here at Rayburn.
Yes.
I drew him at.
Is it Matt?
The dude who wears the Patriots hat?
Yes,
the red Patriots hat?
Yes,
Sakai Ushio.
The only reason I know him is because he's always waiting around on day 2 behind the weigh-in stage to get his freaking trophy.
Yeah. Dude, I drew him on Rayburn, and I remember it was the final day. You know, obviously it made the final day cut.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what place we were sitting, but I was like, hey, man, like, it's going to get rough today. Like, it's going to be calm on the way up there, but it's going to get bad on the way back. He's like, oh, no problem. Like, I've fished the Great Lakes. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to find out, you know. So we run up the lake, man, and he's like so like just finessey, but power fishing almost in a way, like getting after it, dude.
Yeah.
Like there to take care of you and net your fish. Just a great guy, right? Like just awesome dude.
Yeah.
And works hard, and like he was just a really, really, really cool guy. And you can see why he does so well. But on the way back, I was like, you ready?
You ready for this?
And whoo, that was the roughest I've been on Rayburn in a very long time.
Is that the one where the kid was crying when he got on his boat?
Yes, the kid. I tell you how bad it was, Matt. A kid that I know. I'm not gonna say his name. I don't, because it's kind of.
We don't need to
it's
do
not
that.
embarrassing. I mean,
It was bad. They should not have let y'all be out.
No, it was bad. And dude,
Was it Castle done?
No. No. I'm sure Todd was in the final day though, if I had to guess. But it is. It's a guy that me and Todd both know. It's a younger guy. He fished for SFA, and I did too. And he's a buddy. But anyways, he came back, dude, and
Kissed the ground.
his bilge pump didn't work. Like it stopped working, and he had speared 2 waves, and he had water like over his back box. Like he thought he was going to sink his boat. And when
that's scary.
he came into the pavilion, and you know Humphreys, he came into Humphreys like with the co-angler standing on his front deck coming in. And I'm like, what is? Everybody's like, what's going on?
He was last one in too.
Last one in. So he comes in, he hits the bank, and I'm not joking, dude. Like terrified, like white as a ghost, completely soaked, tears in his eyes, crying, like kisses the ground, hugs me.
Hugged everybody that was around him.
He's hugging me, and I'm like, hey, calm down, man. Don't let these guys see you crying. Like, calm down. And I was like, yeah, that's when you know it's bad, dude. You know what I mean? You got somebody at the weigh in. It's bad.
Yeah. No, but
yeah,
that's Akai Ushio is his name.
Yeah, he's cool,
Hey,
man.
did he do anything? Like, does he do like weird free rigs and stuff like that, or is he just good?
So, man, like, yeah.
I mean, not that the other way isn't good, but I mean, is he fishing stuff that the normal guy isn't?
That's what I noticed. You know, when he was behind me, I mean, I'm talking like spinning rod, like big on the spinning rod deal, and like always finesse fish. And dude, like I'm on a cranking hole. You know what I mean? Like I'm cranking, dude. And you know that's what I love to do. That's what we love to do.
He's the one that turned me on to that bellows worm. Which I mean, bellows isn't any secret by any means, but
yeah,
you know, he was actually.
I mean, I know what it is, but I don't have any confidence in it.
Yeah, so he's the one that turned me on to that, and bellows. You know I don't know what it is. Kind of like ringed worm.
Yeah.
8-inch. They make all the way down to like a 4.
Is that the worm you showed me?
Yeah. Now that's like my worm. My
go-to worm. Gill and a bellow shad, I think.
Yeah, that's a legit
But
worm,
it's funny you said free rigging because he was free rigging behind me in Bugs Island with that. He caught some fish, but I could tell he's a competitor, man. He was like mad at himself.
Yes.
He didn't have a limit. I think he only had like 2, and he was like, man, it's been a long time since I didn't catch a limit.
Well, I lost one on a crankbait, and he didn't get it with the net, and he was mad about that. And I'm like, hey, bro, that ain't your fault.
Yeah.
Like, it's all good. But, he's awesome, man. Like, for real. Like, you can tell. I think his goal is to be fishing up.
He told me he's trying to raise enough money. I think he was wanting to go as a boater this year. I don't know if he made it. I need to look at the list.
Scary.
Yeah, he's coming, dude.
I would not want that dude to be in a boat.
He's gonna be like,
what we need.
He's gonna be the next
another Taku Ito
or Caillou Fujita. Like,
y'all look out for that name, Sakai Ushio.
So
he's
at
coming.
Douglas 2 years ago, I drew a 19-year. He was over with Kenta. Kenta brought him over from Japan. He was 19, didn't know any English. Like I thought he did, but then I realized he just knew yes.
Yeah, he just nodded.
So I thought, like, he was just going, yes. He had no clue what the hell I was saying.
That's when you know you're in trouble.
So I was at Douglas, and I was on a really, really good bite. I was catching them spawning on rock veins in, like, 12 foot of water, like, out deep with a Ned. And he probably made, like no joke, like, he probably made one cast to my every 20.
Yeah.
And he was using metered line, so he knew how much he'd had out, and then it would take him like 10 minutes. It was like a mix between a free rig and a Carolina rig. But then there was also like a rubber band involved with the bait, and it would he got like 5 bites during the day, and he had 3 for like 10, which was really good.
Yeah. Wow.
And I think he ended up finishing like in the top 15 or 20. And like the 3 biggest ones in the boat were on his side of the live well that day. Wow. And he only caught like 5, but I mean, he just would keep a bait in the water for just an astronomical amount of time, probably like 3 to 4 minutes a cast.
Just dragging it behind you, I guess.
He would like, I was offshore, he'd like cast it out to the side, and by the time he was done, it was behind the boat. Yeah. But he would like take his fingers on that meter line and like inch it, and then he'd like it was some interesting stuff. Like I can't even just explain what he was doing, but he was wanting to try to come over again from what I could gather.
That's not good. Do you think, like, I don't even know where we're going with the show, but now that we're here, we're here. Wherever. Do you think like, you know, because the Japanese anglers, they're really like good finesse fishermen. For what I understand, their fisheries over there, like you kind of have to do some of those techniques. Like they're probably constantly innovating and, you know, a lot of finesse style. And you know how, like, with live scope, it seems that the finesse style and some of the finesse techniques are kind of taken over. And do you think that's why they're so, like, I look at, is it Caillou Fujita? Am I saying that right?
Yeah. I can't say it right either.
Well, he is just like next level. Like I would lie if I say I didn't like almost study kind of what he's done on live. Like I'll be honest, like it's different. It's not the same. Like he is working the bait different. It's rod down in a downward position, giving little twitches on stuff. Like when he sets the hook, the line's actually way over here, and like you thought he was in front, but he's way over here. It's like this dude's next level. And do you think that's what we're gonna start to see? Like, I don't know. This to me, it seems like the future. Like what they're doing seems like the future almost.
You mean like finesse fishing?
Like finessing with forward-facing sonar and the different techniques they're doing. You know, like it's not just as simple as, hey, let's throw an A-rig over this fish's head, or let's throw a jerkbait over this fish. Like these dudes.
I mean, how do you not say no? I mean, when you've got a guy winning an elite series, like, okay, like look at look at Cifuentes. Like, not only are they winning, but like, look at Cifuentes. You got a guy in like jeans and a cowboy hat throwing a spinning rod and a pink worm, winning an Elite Series tournament. So like,
yeah,
it's already here.
Yeah. You're right.
Like, you would never have seen that 3 years ago.
Yeah. Well, me and Shane talked about one of the previous episodes. When you look back at the Elite season, and correct me if I'm wrong, but almost every one of them, Live Scope played at least a crucial role. I mean, you look at Okeechobee and Tyler Rivette, that nobody saw it coming. You look at Joey Fuentes at Lake Seminole, nobody saw that coming. The Northerns are kind of a given at this point, but the events in the beginning of the season usually not. You know what I mean? Not in Florida, but it did. The only one we could think of that didn't play a crucial role was like the Sabine River. But other than that, like it even what was his name again at Sandy Cooper? Forget his name. Luke Palmer.
Luke Palmer was, he was using them.
Yeah, so I'm
using and flipping.
Yeah.
Do you think was he in perspective mode doing that, or was he forward?
I think he's forward.
Yeah, he probably both.
Yeah, probably both. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I figured Matt would know.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, it is what it is, but I don't even know how we got off there. But I just kind of
talking fishing.
Yeah, I kind of see that. Obviously it's going there. We all know that, and it's here, like Matt alluded to. But it's kind
you have to see that trend in tackle store sales.
Oh yeah,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. The ball head. I remember. You remember like probably 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's about when forward facing sonar came out. Like right before it got really good. We used to. There's a little lake out here called Kurth. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. We used to go out there in the winter.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, and we stumbled on like a little 1/4 ounce ball head with a 2.8 Kitech. This is the year before forward facing sonar, and we would idle around, find the bait which had giants around it, and we would throw that little ball head out, little finesse swim bait, let it sink to the bottom, just slow roll it and kill it. That was before forward facing sonar.
Yeah, you and Combs went out there.
Yeah, and we used to smash. So that little finesse swim bait is now like a staple anywhere in the country, I would think.
Right.
I don't know if you don't have one.
Look at how many brands, like how many different finesse swim baits and ball heads are carried in a tackle shop.
Yeah. You better have
like it used to be the crappie aisle, and there'd be like, hey, this is a hook that you can throw, and then obviously Kitech came out with the ball head, but I mean go now and there's 30 different ball heads and 30 different plastics that are less than 3 inches in length, and then they're like, hey, I can't believe we have these Bubba paddle tails on the end. Let's just cut the paddle tail off and make it a
straight
point.
Tail.
So it does absolutely nothing. And there you go. Now you've got all sorts of those of the the hog farmers with the missile and what Wheeler just came out with and all those guys.
Uh-huh.
Now it just is the next iteration of finesse.
Yeah. No, for sure. But well, man, let's talk BTL.
And it catches giants too. Haven't there been, who was that kid who caught like a 40 freaking pound limit on Rayburn drop shot?
Oh, that was Alex.
He wasn't even from there.
No, that's
the kid from New York, Alex.
It's Alec.
Yeah.
Alec Morrison. He's fishing the.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking if like this is the next thing. Like, dude, a dude from New York just came and pinkwormed a 40-pound limit off of freaking Rayburn. Like, it's here.
Throttled those Rayburn locals.
He stomped us pretty bad.
It wasn't like a 20-pound.
Yeah, it was by like 30 pounds, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the largest margin of victory in Toyota Series history.
Yeah.
Like, we're seeing these massive margins of victory. Like, Palmer won by like 20 pounds. We're seeing it's because not everybody has figured it out yet.
Yeah. Well, that's going to change. I bet the Elite Series boats are going to look stupid next year. I know some of the
guys.
Dude,
I've seen a couple of them. I'm sure you guys have too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them guys are doing it just to prove a point, I think, but whatever, I think some of them are using it to an advantage.
I heard Zaldane's is going to be ridiculous. Is that true?
Nah, I think Zaldane planned on it being ridiculous. Have you actually like seen a ridiculous one yet? Like with 7 graphs and 6 black boxes?
No.
Some of the pictures I seen I thought were fake, but I don't know if they're real.
Yeah, some of them are, but like the ones that are running both the salt waters and the 34s. And then
the 66 or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, the 6 black boxes is is interesting. But then it's like, okay, you have to have one on a turret in case you're fishing at a 45-degree angle on the bank, and then you can fish and see it. You have to have one of the long ranging ones that then you can switch to the 34 when you get close enough to see them. Then you want to have some that you can run on off of your power poles in perspective, so you have 180 behind you in case a school comes in behind you. And then you also have to have a perspective in front of you so you don't miss anything there. So then when you think about it, you're like, yeah, 6 makes sense.
Golly, that sounds miserable.
My brain can't process that much information.
That does not sound fun. It sounds like being dead on the water a lot. Having a lot of
with the lithiums you can do it. But then but what I'm looking at now is like I really want one of those 22-inch screens that links into the graph.
Oh yeah, the MBTs.
What are they like? NBTs or whatever they're
big
called?
thing.
Yeah.
Are those actually like really high resolution? Because I've seen on, like in electronic trips, I've seen guys that have the biggest screen, but what people often don't understand is just because your screen is bigger doesn't mean it gives you a better picture, right? Because your pixel density is actually less per square inch, so then it gets all pixelated and doesn't look as good as it did on a 12. So I'm wondering if those MBTs, surely they are, because they're selling them.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Sure, they're super.
I have yet to see one in person, so I can't really say, to be honest with you.
I haven't seen an MBT yet, but
I've seen them in person, but I haven't like fished with one yet.
Right.
Yeah, but
I don't know. Very interesting.
Yeah, no, it's interesting times. I feel under equipped with one forward-facing sonar. I can't get on. I can't even do the 2. Like when I had one, I've been in boats with forward and perspective. I don't know. I guess my eyes don't like looking at both at once.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So freak me out.
I'm a 360 forward guy.
I know you are.
That's me.
Why is my team partner and he yelled at me when I got rid of my 360?
I was like, "What are you doing, dude?
What are you doing?"
Are you guys in the team tournaments down there doing the separate units on the back deck yet?
No. His girlfriend was just talking.
My girlfriend suggested that. I was like, "Hey, you don't even know anything about bass fishing. Don't say stuff that makes sense."
Oh no, that's big in Oklahoma.
Are you serious?
Set one up on the back deck so you can scope on the back deck in the nickels and throw your A-rig at fish at the back deck while your dude's up front swinging an A-rig on the front deck.
How much does that setup cost?
It's basically like an ice fishing setup.
Okay.
So, you've got your 10-inch screen and your deucer on a pole with a turret in the back that clicks onto the back. So, like, you can turn it in the back and fish for your own fish while the guy up front fishes for his own fish.
Have you done that?
No, but I've gotten my butt kicked by guys who have.
Jeez.
Golly, that's like the new age of tournament
several
fishing.
Dominant teams. And then the beautiful thing about it is when it's time to come in, you just stash the thing and no one knows it was back there.
Wow.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. Like,
you do it.
I would do it.
I guess you could make like a portable one. You could get like one of those battery boxes.
Oh, with all the stuff you guys have to fish down there, that's team tournaments, it totally makes sense. You're fishing for $20,000 multiple times a year.
Yeah. I mean,
50 and $100,000.
Yeah, the next champs is like 37, and then 50 the next weekend.
We're fishing for a lot of money down here this year.
Man,
I'm probably gonna look into that. We would be the first team doing it out here for sure.
That you know of.
That we know
all
of.
you have to do is not say anything, and then put it in the rod box when you come to check in.
I know some guys that have a pole on the side, so when they're idling, they like slide this pole out their driver's seat, and they're scanning
Sniper
while they're
pole
idling.
Is what it's called.
Yeah.
They were all doing that at Lake of the Ozarks. I was skipping every dock and shaking them off on a jig. And
were they really?
Here comes a dude just idling 20 feet off of it, and he's got one hand on the wheel. He's got one hand on a sniper pole, and he's just shining it under every single dock. And you can do 1,000 docks, and you can mark every single one that has brush and every single one that has fish.
Oh my gosh, how did I miss this? I guess I never saw anybody on Ozarks doing that. I did what you did. I went and shook them off.
Yep. I mean, I really didn't shake that many off either.
No, that one, I'd want that one back too. But
yeah, I'm gonna have to look into this.
There's all sorts of.
You could make it totally portable, man. Like portable battery box, portable everything. You just load it in the back of the boat.
They just run it off a little lithium.
You don't need a big one. That's what I run my Garmin off of right now. Is like a little. It's like the size of a deer feeder battery.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got you. I would have to have something to control it with my foot, though. Because controlling it by hand really just, I don't like. Because you know how you make those little movements with your foot to track your bait? It would be hard to do it by hand and scope, act effectively.
Wait a minute. I just had an invention idea. You know how those little turrets are on, they have 2 buttons, right? Left, right?
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yep.
What if, has anybody made one that's actually like a trolling motor foot pedal?
They should.
Mirrors that?
There's one that does a pressure foot pedal. So, if you go to the left, it'll go to the left. And if you touch it to the right, it'll go to the right.
But you see what I'm saying? Like how we're used to going forward or backwards.
I see what Matt's saying, though, too.
Yeah, I see that one. But imagine if you had essentially a foot pedal like your trolling motor.
Yeah.
But it controlled your turret. No trolling motor.
Well, if I was on the back deck, that would have to be what.
All I want is royalties. Whoever steals this off this show.
Surely somebody's got it somewhere.
I don't know, man. I haven't seen one. I would use that. The other little turrets are.
I hate the hand controlled in the left to right. It's not fast enough, you know.
Too slow.
Yeah. So you guys haven't even talked about the biggest thing that's going to come out this year, and everyone will know about it in the first couple tournaments. But the power brakes.
Oh yeah. On the power.
Oh, yeah, I've seen them. Yeah, I've seen them
thrusters.
on Kyle Hall's boat, or Kyle Hall had a picture of them or something,
Yeah.
and I think Josh Jones or somebody. Is that to put on the brakes real quick?
There's 2 or 3 different. So I'm getting the power brakes installed this week.
Oh, nice.
So basically, think of it as like you're scoping. So I could see it definitely on St. Clair. So you're scoping, but you scope at 8 to 10 instead of 3 to 4. So if you have it set out at 90 and you see a fish, well, if you want to slow down to put a jerkbait or Damiki or something on them, you have to spin that trolling motor head around, lose the fish, hit the brakes, hit your trolling motor, blow the fish out, whole 9 yards. These connect to either brackets in the back or to your power poles, and you just tap that button and it just goes. They're 2 little trolling motors in the back, and they go and they stop you in place.
Oh wow, I like that. Yeah, I like that.
And then let's say you get a fish that's hot on a jerk bait, and you want to back up 10 feet. You hit a button and it goes and it backs you up 10 feet. Or let's say you want to go forward 10 feet. You hit a button and it goes and it puts you forward 10 feet and then stops you.
So I've seen the pictures of it. When you put your poles down and stuff, you're good, or?
So so this is kind of in its infancy right now. It kind of depends on the model and brand that you have, right? But there's some that connect directly to the bracket, which I don't know how powerful it feels about that, but they connect directly to the bracket. So when you drop your power poles, they go in the water. And then there's also some that have brackets off to the side that connect to your
jack plate or something.
Either your jack plate or your power pole brackets on the sides, and then you deploy them separately. What it's eventually going to get to is you just hit a button and they'll go and they'll go down in the water, and then you hit and they'll go back up. That's 6 months.
I would imagine that power pole, if this really gains some serious traction, which it sounds like it will, power pole and Minn Kota and everybody else that makes shallow water anchors will probably.
Yeah, you're going to see multiple Elite Series anglers and BPT anglers with those on their boats in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I want some brakes.
When they start fishing.
I want brakes.
Well,
I was thinking about it that going back to the St. Lawrence, the reason my Coanglers caught the big ones first is because I was drifting backwards, obviously. It's easier to control your speed and position your boat to go over the right part of the shoal or whatever, but if you had those, you could essentially drift forward. You could use those to drift forward.
There's going to be some backwashing going on. Need some wet back decks with these brakes.
Not my problem. I'm in the front.
I'm just saying, there's going to be some rollers coming over some back decks this year, brother.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the next latest and greatest.
Wow.
So you're putting those on?
Yes.
Oh, dude.
I got to see, if you can be early to the game with something, you know what I mean?
For sure.
I'm putting the power brakes on.
For sure.
Man.
So now, we need power brakes.
Yeah.
And we need a scope for the back.
Right.
You got that?
Yeah, I mean, we can split it. Well, if we got so much money coming in for the juice.
Yeah. All these sponsors are just
we'll take
rolling
it out
over
of the
here.
juice fund.
Yeah. Oh man, before we let you go, I want to kind of shift gears. I mean, you're well known in the industry, but I mean, I think probably the BTL is, you got me through a lot of very long drives. I'll say that. I would turn you on and just listen to. That sounded weird.
You turn it on.
I would turn on BTL, and obviously I would go back. Like if I was traveling to a lake that I'd listen to something that was related if I could, but I'd listen to everything and get you through drives. I personally like to listen to podcasts on drives. But how did you kind of get in? So you said it was Bass Zone with Jeffries, and then you guys, did he start Bass Talk Live, or did you guys both start that together?
Yeah, so he started it him and Gary Judici, who runs Blue Heron or ran Blue Heron Communications, which was like a rep group. They did a bunch of big ones in the back. They had Pure Fishing Account. They also did like Smith & Wesson and all, like big time. They started a show way before any of this stuff on Sirius XM. So like you turn on like one of the Sirius. This was back, like, remember when like Howard Stern signed the XM or Sirius deal, and everyone was like, "What the hell is satellite radio?" Like Jeffries was on with the bass fishing show on Sirius XM when they needed content on like one of the sports channels. So then in like 2000, so they did that for a long time, and then in like 2011 they transitioned to Bass Talk Live, and that was a group of like 4 or 5 guys. Kenyon Hill was involved in that. Another guy named Brent Conway, Gary, Drew Smith. And then they just kind of all went their separate ways. And I've obviously been working for Jeffries full time. So it ended up just being me, him, and Drew for 3 or 4 years. And then Drew got another job. Actually, he had to sell his bass boat and got a pontoon boat. He doesn't like to tell that story, but that's how he ended up getting out. I don't know if that was his decision or not. But so then he ended up getting a different job, and then it was just me and Jeffries. And then 3 years ago, so Jeffries is like very passionate about like high school basketball and also bowling. He was a professional bowler right out of college for like 3 years. Like Walter Ray Williams like was on the tour, and he kind of had an opportunity to be a head coach of a basketball team, and then that transitioned into he wanted to coach bowling. And I walked in one day like 3 years ago, and he's like, "Dude, it's yours."
Wow.
And so I had co-hosted. So then I was just like, okay. So I just kind of took it. So my job basically has been not to screw it up for the last 2 years. So I did it out of his studio last year, and then I built a full out studio, or 2 years ago. And then last year I built a full out studio in my house in Shawnee. So it's like right across from my bedroom. I just walk in and do BTL every day.
Nice.
So I think I've done almost 500 shows by myself now.
Wow.
Killing it.
Which season are you on?
This is the 20th season,
20th.
But yeah, I need to update that intro.
Yeah. I think I was gonna say this is the 19th season.
I thought it was like, I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I've done it for 14 of them.
So
wow.
And then they did the Sirius XM for the 5 or 6 before that.
Gotcha.
So how many episodes are you kicking out a week?
So this year I'm doing either 4 or 5 episodes a week. We have the 3 regular BTLs, and then I do a day 4 with Frank Scalish. That's a LureNet Pradco exclusive show. And then I added a day 5 this year, which it's focused exclusively on guides. Because I just know every time I talk to a guide, they always have really badass stories. And there's a lot of, I went to Mexico. This is how it started. I went to Mexico for the first time, and I was terrified to go to Mexico.
Did you go to Salto, or where'd you go?
Yeah, I went to El Salto.
Uh-huh.
But I talked to my buddy who'd been down there 5 or 6 times, and then talked to the guide down there and everything. And I was like, man, I had Pete Robbins on the show a couple times, and him and Hannah do a lot of really good kind of trips, specialty trips for people. They take care of all the details. So I was like, there's a lot of shows out there about the bass fishing, but like if I'm going to spend $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on a trip, it'd be nice if I could like get to know the guy where I'm going, or find out new about something. So that's kind of where that show spawned. So it actually started on East Texas too. I went out with Brandon Burke, they're just scoping these little lakes.
Yeah,
you know,
you mean out west?
Yeah, out west. Yeah. And like if you don't know what you're in for, that's like a sucky trip for like $1,000.
It's a long day.
And it's a lot, but if you know what you're in for, it's like, dude, I'm gonna get a couple shots at a freaking 10-pounder.
Yep.
And when we see it, like we're hunting these things down. So I was like, people need to know like what this is about. Like, so you don't go expecting to catch 30 with one big one, and you're out in the middle, and the guy's like, yeah, well, you can cast, but you're out in the middle of the lake, and there's zero visibility, so good luck.
No,
but if they know what's in and they can talk and that guide can get it, that's kind of where that show comes from. So it's just to get to know guides from all across the country that do really cool, kind of off the wall, unique stuff. So I'm adding 30 of those shows this year. So I should do about 250 shows this year.
Wow. Dang. No, I like the idea with the guide thing because, I mean, we touch on a little bit both. I mean, Wyatt guides a lot more than I do, but we both guide here. And yeah, there's some we talk about this all the time as far as the expectation. You know, we get people to call that want, you know, what are you looking for? You want to go catch fish or do you want to find tournament spots? Because I'm not going to take somebody to tournament spots. And I'll just be upfront with people. But no, and then there's, you know, I've always had this idea that there should be, how do customers find a good guide? How do they know? You know, how do they know who's legit and who's just, I mean, because anybody can go buy a bass boat and electronics and have a social media
page. It costs $90 to become a guide in Oklahoma.
Yeah. I think it's like 140 in Texas. Yeah. What's the guideline? Is that what it is?
100, about 130 or something like that.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to tune into that. That'd be pretty interesting.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. But I mean, I know Daryl really well, Gleason, who does a bunch of different types of guiding. I'm good buddies with Rick Harris, who does, you know, a bunch of different types of guiding and has taken that Hill Country Hammers and is doing a bunch with those guys. They do a bunch of unique trips. So just stuff that I find interested. So I'll have like hour-long conversations with them about like what they actually do. And I'm like, wait a second. So you're like on the ladder with the 10-pounder telling the guy to set the hook. And he's like, yeah, dude, it's so freaking cool. And then we like hug and high five. And I'm like, dude. So I'm like, man, I just talked to him for an hour about this. Why don't I just do a show about it?
Might as well. It's entertaining.
Yep.
So really 250 cool. shows this year.
That's impressive.
That's what I'm shooting for. I think the first year I did 200, and this past year I did 185.
Wow.
So I'm shooting for between 220 and 250 this year.
So that's got to be kind of a balancing act with all the opens. So surely you're taking this, which I know you do anyway. You take it on the road, but
yeah, I'm doing it better on the road. Like last year's setup sucked. I was kind of disappointed with what I had. I thought I had it dialed in, but I have to have a rock solid setup to where I still have the same quality of shows without taking away from the opens practice. Otherwise, I'm doing a 50% show and 50% practice. I'm not doing myself any favors.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
busy man.
And then I record some too. So sometimes I'll get a week or two in the can, and then I just don't have to worry about it. I can set it to go out, so it'll go out every day at 8:30.
Yeah. Well, that's how you're supposed to do it.
There was one time like 2 years ago where I did 13 shows in 2 days. I was pretty tired after that. Yeah. I recorded 13 shows in 2 days. So I like started at 8:30, and then I'd have one at 10:30, and then one at 12:30, and then I would just record it, and then I would, do all the editing and stuff, put it out to go out because I was going up north for like a month. So I just basically killed 2 days of my life and did 13 shows.
Yeah. Well, at least you got it done.
Yeah.
Dang.
That's not how the juice is operating at the moment.
No. We don't. We don't roll like that, man. We kind of started this one as a hobby and did it like once every month, if that. And then this year
we were terrible.
I think we're at like 5 weeks in a row, and that's like one episode a week. And we're like, look at us, just look at us. We're killing it, man.
No, it's good. I enjoy it. I listen to it. I dabble in all of them. I try not to. I really don't probably listen to a lot of them. But I listen to yours. I listen to Dave's occasionally, and Zaldane's.
Yep.
I'll
listen to Luke's. Like I'm pretty equal opportunity.
Yeah. No, there's enough content going out there. I mean, I know it's competitive. There's a lot of people doing it, but man, there's a lot of really cool stories to tell, and I think everybody's kind of got their own little angle and their own little thing. And honestly, the consumers are out there just consuming all the content that's being put out there. You can't put out content fast enough, it seems like. So
yeah, I mean, heck, the guys who put out the most content out of anybody is the serious angler guys.
Yeah.
No,
Bailey and Adam Deacon and those guys with Business from the Bass Boat. I mean, they've been killing it for like 3 years now.
Yeah. No, we do it because it's a lot of fun, man. If it goes anywhere, cool. But we'll see. We're just enjoying it.
I like the set. The set looks good.
Yeah,
it's
if we like panned around, you'd be like, oh,
yeah, you don't want to see the rest.
We're like in the corner of my buddy's like little fishing room.
Yeah, Captain Ron Studios.
Yeah,
but
nice.
Yeah, nah, cool. Man, we enjoy it, and we just wanted to have you on just to kind of give perspective, let you kind of get on the other side, because I think you get, like you said, even with the guides, you got a lot of cool stories to tell, and you've met a lot of cool people and done some cool things. So, and I certainly enjoyed it.
Yeah, man, I think that if you're willing, we could have you on a couple more times, because I feel like we didn't even talk about
I think
a bunch of different stuff that I wanted to talk about with you. But, that's us. I from listening to your shows, you're kind of like us in that way, or at least me, like a bass fishing nerd almost, know a lot of stuff and keep up with a lot of things, and I'm the same way. So when you get a couple guys like that and start talking, you could talk about everything and anything.
I'd say my best shows have never been the shows that I have any notes for or anything. Like literally, it's like you just wad it up and it goes down a path, and that's the beautiful thing about a podcast where it's structured, but it can go anywhere it wants to. So you don't have to be like, that's cool, but that's not what we're talking about. Like you could be like, all right, let's roll with that. And those are sometimes the best ones. Like 95% of the time, the ones where you had absolutely no clue where it was going to go. And 45 minutes later, you're like, holy cow, didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, that's how we filmed everyone, man. It's crazy. We just kind of go with it. And we just had Cody Cannon on, the lead singer from Whiskey Myers, and we had no clue where that show was going to go. We didn't know how much he knew or how much he was involved.
He's pretty dialed in.
Yeah, he's pretty good, man.
He is way more knowledgeable than I expected.
Yes, exactly.
Not that I had expectations, but I mean the dude knows the stuff on lure making. Clearly,
he does. Yep. So. Yeah, man, we appreciate it, Matt, and hopefully we'll have you on again soon. And
yeah, thanks for the invite. Just let me know.
Absolutely, man. Good luck this season.
Take care.
All right, see you.
Mr. Pangrach.
I enjoyed that conversation.
Yeah, it was cool, man. We got into some stuff. We kind of like he just talked about. We didn't know where we were going to go with the show. We never do, so we're just here talking.
I mean, we're at an hour and 20. We normally try to go to an hour. We're never going to cut anybody off, but
right.
We know the attention span out there is short. Mine included. But no, I mean, we got into talking there and started talking about Coanglers and stuff. And next thing I looked down, like you said, we've been talking for 45 minutes. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. You don't realize. I know people that listen to it, you're probably like, wow, this is a long time. But you don't realize it when you're talking, and you're just talking about stuff you enjoy. And if you're listening to our podcast, hopefully you enjoy everything about bass fishing too, and that's the kind of stuff you'll want to listen to. So. I will say that a lot of these other talking to Matt, man, we're not putting out even a fraction of enough content. We know that. We're trying to get better about that. One a week just doesn't seem like it's going to work.
And Matt's been doing it a long time, to be fair, so he's got a good rhythm. He knows what he needs to do.
So do some of these other guys. And I don't want to just, not that Matt does that, but he doesn't. All of his content's really good, but we don't want to just throw stuff together that's not, good. But man, we probably are going to ramp it up a little bit more. And, we might try to do some local stuff too. I know we got some local guys that listen to the podcast. We might have some guys on to talk about, who knows, maybe the upcoming year, what to expect from it and stuff like that. Maybe like Derek, Monday or.
We want to get into
like
live. I really think we should get into live just so we can start interacting with people that watch. I enjoy that. Yeah. Like I watched some of his live episodes, and it's cool to see him interacting with people that are viewing. Yeah. And so we want to do some of that, and we'll get there. But we are being proactive this year. Like we've got some other guests lined up. Like we've been talking to Matt. We had talked to Cody.
Yeah.
We have them queued up. Whereas historically, I'll call Wyatt on Monday. Like, hey man, you want to record this week?
Yeah, we probably could do what Matt talked about and like film.
We've done that once. We filmed.
I'm talking like 10 episodes in a day.
Whoa. Easy.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, hey man, we're starting here this morning. We ain't leaving until this evening.
If we can do one a week for like a couple months, then we'll look into like
yeah.
But
I think for the local guys, it'd be cool to have like a Derek on, or maybe Hayden Hegg on.
I don't think he'll come.
Why wouldn't
on
he?
The show?
Why wouldn't he come on the show?
Maybe our second episode.
I don't care. I think a lot is time has passed. A lot of things have changed. I think
I forgive you.
I got nothing. I got nothing bad to say. I would just like to have him on the
I
show.
don't have anything bad to say.
I would. I mean, obviously he's been doing really well, and get some insight from him about like he moved here and is doing really well. I mean, I just think that it'd be cool to have some of these guys on the show that have done well. We had Derek on the show. His episode did great.
Yeah.
So I think that there might be some potential for that. But anyways, guys, we're gonna keep on pushing out content.
We're gonna record one again next week. This one. So
next week we're gonna be off limits.
Yes, we'll have a little more time. I think
we're gonna go film some stuff on the water next week.
Yeah, you said it. I doubt it.
We're gonna go fish a tournament this weekend. No practice.
No, we're not.
Get ready. Anyway, till next time, guys.
See y'all.